Everybody wipe your eyes from that speech. That was heartfelt. The valedictorian is the student who has achieved the highest grade point average in the senior class. It is my pleasure to announce Mr. Riley Peterson as the 2018 iSchool High valedictorian. Riley, please come.
Good evening. It is such an honor to speak to you tonight. My name is Riley Peterson. I attended iSchool High Montgomery starting my sophomore year. It has been such a blessing to be part of this amazing program. I was asked to give a speech that reflects on my experiences here at iSchool and gives some life advice. I would like to start by expressing my gratefulness to those who have helped myself and this class of students that I'm honored to graduate with today. First, I would like to thank Lone Star for allowing this amazing program to exist. It is such a unique gift to be able to earn dual credit in a college environment while still being part of a class of high school students. Many of the college professors I've interacted with over the past 2.5 years have been great role models and inspired me through many seasons in my life. Whether it was my choir director, Mark Morado, and his attention to detail, or my calculus professor, David Benzel, and his calm, easygoing approach to problem solving, or my government professor, Gary Brown's lighthearted jokes. My professors always seem to find ways to keep things interesting and engaging. They always seem to pull the best out of me, reminding me why it is that I need to work hard and learn. I'm so grateful for all they've taught me. Next, I would like to thank the teachers at iSchool High Montgomery. All of the teachers I have worked with have been helpful, patient, kind, and so hardworking. However, I would like to recognize one teacher who had a big personal influence on me and who I knew was always working so hard for the success of the program. From her very first chemistry direct teach session, Mrs. Perkins showed how excited she was to teach chemistry. Soon, I was eager to show my friends how to work out stoichiometry problems, and they always seemed to wonder how I could be so enthusiastic about a topic so seemingly boring. Mrs. Perkins has consistently had this type of positive influence on me, and she has also helped me sign up for college classes, wrote last-minute recommendation letters for me, and given very insightful advice for my college plans going forward. Ms. Perkins has worked so hard for us, and I'm so grateful for this. Let's give her a hand. Next, I would like to thank the administration at iSchool High. Even though I've spent most of my time at college for the past few semesters, every time I'm at iSchool, I always see Mr. Pratt's checking in on us, respectfully making sure we're acting responsibly and doing well. Meanwhile, Ms. Tejeda and Mrs. Sangster always seem to have a way of lightening my mood when I stop by the front office. And Mrs. Goff's passion for the success of the students is always so evident to me. She always seems to be able to say something that motivates me to work harder and be a better person. And finally, Mrs. Cash. Oh, what would we do without Mrs. Cash? She has worked so tirelessly, juggling so many tasks for so many students. Between college transcripts, textbook requests, recommendation letters, and course signups, Mrs. Cash has worked so hard for us. Our success would not be possible without her and the rest of this wonderful administration. So let's give them all a big round of applause. Finally, I would like to thank my mom and my dad. My parents fostered my interests from a young age, challenging me to persist in things that catch my attention. I attribute so much of my success to them because they have always been so for me. For the past couple of years, I've had a lot going on. I haven't been able to get my driver's license, and we live down in Spring, and my parents have always have driven me up to school every single day, and I don't take that for granted because that's so many hours they have spent doing that. They've brought the best out of me. They've made me stronger, and their discipline humbles me. When I've been rude and unkind to them, they never ceased to be so for me. And I will never know or ever truly understand how much they love me. And I'm so grateful for this. So let's give a big hand to my parents. Okay, now for the advice section. I would like to preface my advice with a few qualifiers. I don't want to sound preachy or like I'm telling you how to live your life. With so much in the world around us to always be potentially understood, what I can actually take in and understand is very limited. Also, the amount of those things that I can actually remember and apply are even smaller than that. I would only like to share some of the very limited wisdom I believe the Lord has granted me some measure of understanding with through my life experiences. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt. Still, I challenge you to think over the ideas and question them, and perhaps test them out in your own life if you should choose. My first point is to seek out understanding and not always assume that you know everything. One of the most exciting ways I have discovered approaching each new day is as a chance to learn more and more. At the same time, however, I sometimes have this other urge to just go out into the world and try to make something of myself. As we get older, I think some of us finally realize that at the end of the day, perhaps life is not about making much of ourselves. Through fishing, Boy Scouts, and church and family, I've met many senior citizens who seem to be the most down-to-earth and humble people I know. I think this is because they have truly mastered living in such a way that they view everything as a learning experience. Through NHS, I've been able to spend some time with elementary school students every Monday at an after-school program with the YMCA. At first, I resisted attending the service opportunity because I knew I had so much work to get done for my college courses. Still, my parents insisted that I participate, and now I'm very grateful that they did. For several weeks, every Monday, I would work with the kids on homework. We'd read Bible stories, we'd feed them, and then we would go outside and play in the playground for a little while. The little kids always had a way of reminding me about some of the most important things in life. Their eyes were truly open to the world around them. For many of them, everywhere they looked, they were in awe and wonder at reality. Everything was an adventure. On days when it seemed like my only source of energy was drinking coffee, these kids never failed to bring me a smile with their innocent, carefree spirits. They reminded me, much like the senior citizens, that everything can be a learning experience if I have the correct attitude. So, while everything is a learning experience, I have found that it is most useful to not just wait for these experiences to arrive, but to actively seek them out. In my life, there have been many areas that have been insightful, such as reading scripture and music, but I'll talk about two other ones here. First one is nature. Over the years, I've been blessed with many amazing outdoor opportunities, such as backpacking across New Mexico, going whitewater rafting in Colorado, and going fishing with my grandfather in Virginia. And on these adventures, I witnessed beauty in the smallest of details, the ripples of the water, the whistles of the breeze, the singing of the cardinals. I was reminded that some things in life never change. They always remain beautiful. At the same time, the vastness of the landscapes reminded me of how small I am in this vast universe, and what a gift and privilege it is to be alive in the first place. It is so easy to take these things for granted. While these grand adventures were always so insightful, I've seen that just getting outside for some fresh air can always be refreshing in almost the same way. The simple trick of taking a walk has turned sour days into some of the best days of my life. So the first place I would say you can find understanding is in nature. Next, the next place I know I can look to gain understanding is with my close friends. They usually can see things about me that I'm blind to. I know a friend is a true friend when they trust me enough to sometimes have difficult conversations with me. Seeking out understanding through close friends in times of difficulty makes the relationship more robust and authentic, and makes the light times more meaningful and enjoyable as well. So that's my first point, is to seek out understanding. And my second point is to clean your room. Many of these ideas did not arise from my own observations. Most of them came from people I look up to in my life, whether they be personal leaders in my family or famous leaders. And this one idea came from a very influential man named Jordan B. Peterson. Some of you might know him, and whether or not you admire him, this thought really stands out to me. The basis of the idea is that this world is very complex and full of chaos. Every day we try to head out into the world and we try to have an impact, to extract some order from this chaos. We might try ordering some food to fix our hunger, or ordering our mind to understand a piece of literature or to solve a math problem. Or we even might try to order a group project, but that never really happens. Jordan Peterson's point is that in the midst of all this chaos in our lives, our dwelling places, our rooms, ought to be the least chaotic thing. Our rooms are where we begin and end every day. So if we force ourselves to keep them in order, the standard can be set. Cleaning our rooms can remind us of how we need to solve problems carefully, patiently, one step at a time. If we keep this habit, I believe it is more likely that we will effectively face each task we are presented with, trying to extract a little order, a little hope from this chaos. Now, with all of this said, this is something I still need to put into practice because I really would not want any of y'all to see what my room has looked like for pretty much all of this past year. Okay, my third point is to establish a malleable vision for the future. And this proceeds directly from the prior point. Obviously, there are good ways at extracting order out of chaos. However, our fallible minds can often twist the ideals of order for selfish motivations. I have found that ordering the things around me is only the start, a tool for pursuing a higher aspiration. To do this, I think we need to work out the things we believe most earnestly and truthfully build our lives on them. These things that we believe most earnestly are what inform our greatest desires. When we truly establish what we want in life, then these things are pursued through the way we spend our time. Soon our lives start to not conform to social media or to bad peer pressure, but instead, as individuals, we start to conform to higher ideals, ideals worth living for. My fourth point is not to pursue a life of optimism, but a life of meaning. We should clean our rooms and try to extract some order from all of this chaos, because it can reduce unnecessary suffering. However, a life without hard times is not very meaningful in my opinion. There are unavoidable difficulties in life, like missing someone you love, losing someone you love, having to give up some of your hopes or dreams, and sometimes we even experience severe physical pain. Now, I'm going to say something that's probably going to be controversial. I think we should not have the type of hope that tries to always just look on the bright side, to just live a life of optimism. And this is because we live in a reality that is not just a bright one. There are good things and bad things, and they should be viewed as they are. To choose to look at something dark and destructive with a positive attitude just won't properly address the issue. We ought to be joyful people, yes, but this joy should not be used for us to ignore suffering or not view difficult circumstances as they are. This joy should give us strength to confront difficulty and to be steady even when we must feel sorrow. To rejoice in suffering, it's not to avoid sorrow, but it's to feel it simultaneously, a greater joy, a hope for a better future at the same time. And true hope is not something that is just tied to circumstances. Hope looks beyond circumstances. Hope sees the better vision, and hope persists, and then it is applied to the circumstances. It doesn't avoid hardship, difficult conversations, uncomfortable emotions, dirty secrets, or social grudges. No, hope confronts these things head on as they are, because it is looking beyond them to a higher ideal. Hope is willing to make sacrifices for a better tomorrow. Hope is willing to face discomfort for the sake of drawing out the best in the people it loves. Hope looks beyond. And my final point is to be kind to one another. This is done through truly respecting the authorities, whether we agree with them or like them or not. It is done through being patient with one another. And we can be kind by giving the best of ourselves and our energy to encourage, affirm, inspire, and support one another in pursuing what is good and true in life. Once again, I'm so grateful for all the blessings this program has provided. I will never forget the impact that the teachers, the administration, and my friends here have had on me. As we each go off on our new adventures, I pray that we will each take what we've learned here at iSchool High with us and continue seeking out the good in ourselves and one another wherever we go. Thank you, and God bless you.